Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 36 Chambers of Crypto Taxes. My name is Jamal Solomon, aka Crypto J, and this is part 2 of our Bookkeeping Meets Taxes series with Vonmarie. If you didn't see the first one, definitely see the first one. We're talking about how not to commingle, how to get the government not to be on your back, and how to reduce our fees so you won't give us some crazy records and we gotta charge you accordingly. Hey, we have lives too. We don't like doing extra work such as this. If you give us good books, be happy. Don't worry about it. So Valerie, please introduce yourself again.
Yes, and we like working smart, not hard. So if there's
Especially when you
anything we
got
can
that
do,
picture in the background. I feel very relaxed with that picture.
it's the theme of my business is to relax. So I love putting people at ease when it comes to their finances. So yes, I am Vonmarie Thomas. I am an accountant at Breakaway Bookkeeping and Advising, and I help people with businesses, people with trusts, creatives, anybody who has money that they would like to organize in an accounting system. So you can always find me at breakawayba.com/Vonmarie.
Oh, cool. Thank you. So prior to this interview, Vonmarie made me sound kind of like silly because we was talking about chart of accounts, and she's like, Jamal, well, it's just tax deduction. I'm like, ah, but this is why I'm interviewing her so she could break it down. So in this one, we're going to talk about using chart of accounts properly. Like I said, and I'm going to try to not use my wild examples, but let's just say Chuck E. Cheese. If you're a tax accountant, it's no reason why Chuck E. Cheese should be professional fees or anything like that. But Vonmarie is going to talk about using the chart of accounts properly. What's your advice?
My advice and why it's important to use the chart of accounts properly. There, you'll get to a point in your business when you want to start looking at certain areas, like the cost to make a t-shirt or something, but people might exactly. So people don't know, they don't know how much in materials they've used. They don't know how many t-shirts they've bought, how many t-shirts they have on hand, how many are available for sale. And sometimes you might even have a shipping situation, which kind of alleviates that pain point. But if you have inventory on hand, like stuff you actually have to count, and it's not recorded properly, and you're not deducting that from every transaction, every time you sell a shirt, you just lose track of your expenses. And for business reasons, you just want to be able to track those things. So using your chart of accounts properly, I mean, looking at how much you're paying your contractors, separating that out, and looking at your payroll liabilities versus your payroll tax expense. All of those things need their own separate line item. And yeah, I'm gonna let you, you look like you were gonna say something, Jamal.
Yeah, but hey, when it's flowing, it's flowing. So don't mind me. But I was just gonna say that, especially small businesses, we have to be better after what we learned from the pandemic. The pandemic taught a lot of businesses that the record keeping that they was doing was just not, it just wasn't good regardless. Like, yeah, you got your PPP loans, whatever, but it just showed that most businesses that thought they was doing great due to their records and inaccurate records and stuff like that, survive 6 months, even 2 months. They wasn't able to survive because their records didn't show the real story. And when certain stuff went up and certain stuff went down, a lot of, family businesses didn't make it. So I know that the pandemic is sort of over, but we have to learn from the past and have these records up to date.
That's true. That's true.
It's just crazy.
There's,
Like, family businesses just went down.
yeah, it is. It's so crazy. I had a client that had like bought all these different trucks for their business. And the trucks, some of them were listed in the accounting records, in the chart of accounts, some of them weren't. And some of these cars were bought outright. Some of them had loans on them, and nothing was being tracked. So there's a such thing as being able to write off your interest expense on these loans for these cars that you use in your business. And that's a tax deduction that you're missing out on, you know? So it is important to be super detailed where you can be, right? And that looks like maybe oversharing with your accountant about what your plans are and what you intend to do, because they'll be able to be proactive and kind of just lay things out for you, and you can just continue moving forward seamlessly, right, without things popping up later on.
I feel like there's no such thing as oversharing with your accountant, because man, when people talk to me and they think like, oh, all you do is tax returns, man, I'm a marriage counselor, I'm a psychologist, I'm a financial. It's just, you'd be surprised how much people share, but is a trust in that, and that leads into like, you have to trust your bookkeeper and your tax counselor, because if you have a great relationship, like Vonmarie said, you will have to overshare. Like there's no like, hiding from stuff. Like we're trying to get you. You have to say, hey, yes, this was a personal expense, but I'm trying to hide it. But whatever case may be, you have to be like that with the chart accounts. Like in the perfect world, Marie, how can someone prepare to give them the records to you so that you can set up their chart accounts good? Because it has to come to a point that they have to bring something to you for you to even know how to accurately put it in.
Well, aside from me, I feel like I'm a one-off situation because I do have an audit background. So you don't need to show me too much before I know what you're trying to do. And
Oh, talk your
in
talk.
no, that's
No, I'm
just me.
joking. No.
No, yeah, I know you meant. I'm just saying that I'm gonna know from just looking at the type of the transaction it is. One of the things that I did want to share before I get into that is that sharing your passwords outright, I don't recommend. So I do use something like LastPass with my clients, and they can share things with me indirectly or give me read-only access. And then, and I can also use something like bill.com to pay my clients' bills without me actually going into their bank account and writing checks, right? Because you want to be able to give people access, but not let them rob you blind. Because then
Yes.
at that point, if I can go into your bank account and write a check, I can write it for myself, I can write it for my other clients, and then have my own little pyramid scheme in the background. But the important part is to have checks in place for that kind of stuff. And
And
then,
unfortunately, that's common. More common than people think. I'm trusting the accountants or bookkeeper way too much, unfortunately.
yes, yeah, there's just no limits anywhere. And the different software options that I do use allow me to like put a block between me and the client in terms of taking advantage, because I've seen it before in public accounting. Like that's something that I used to look for: internal controls, making sure that people didn't have more access than they needed to certain things. So then in terms of the chart of accounts, wait, say that question one more time.
Okay, so Jamal's coming to you, and I'm like, I may not know exactly what you need or know about chart accounts. What should Jamal bring to you?
Okay, so things that are really helpful to bring to me if you're buying a truck, right? You took out a loan on that truck. Bring me the loan agreement with the interest rate, with the amount on the car, like whatever it costs, And then I'll be able to put it into the accounting system in its own line item and track these, one, the loan payment, and two, the depreciation on the car, because that's another thing you get to write off. So if it's very obvious, things like that, large expenses, and all receipts, every receipt, especially ones that have to deal with your legal situations. If you're paying a lawyer, that's super important to provide to your accountant. And that allows you, one, when it's 1099 time, to write the 1099s out on time, because all that tracking information will be on there on the invoice, as well as what else? Yeah, just all the records, any receipts, any agreements. You sold property and it's part of your business, have the all the sale details there too as well.
And it's crazy that you said bring all the receipts, because I think that's the major difference of a tax accountant, a pure tax accountant, and a pure someone that deals with like bookkeeping and auditing, is that any of my clients could tell you that the number one thing I say is, I do not want your receipts. I don't want it. Keep the bag home. Don't give it to me. It should already be done already. Or find yourself a Vonmarie. But in your world, you're like, hey, bring it on. I got the
All of
equipment, I
it.
got the technology. Let's do this. So that's why, guys, you really gotta just know the differences of why people are able to help you and like move you forward. In my world, let me see the 1099s. Like she said with the loan, if you don't have it, if I don't trust your records, I have to see the loan stuff. I have to see the actual payroll reports and all that stuff. But if I do trust it and you say, okay, I had a professional bookkeeper do my stuff already. Now I can reduce my fees because I already trust it. I'm just gonna do the P&L, trust it, and your tax return. I don't need to see the copies of the payroll and all that stuff. So it all plays together, people.
Yeah.
Any last thing you want to say about this particular topic?
Yes. The last thing
Oh,
I'm gonna say is, that I'm essentially part of your team, Jamal, when it comes to this, because I would give Jamal my compilation of all of your documents, and then Jamal would file your taxes, right? Like that's what the bookkeeper is there in the middle for, essentially. But that's it.
yeah, and vice versa. If you told me, okay, Vonmarie did it, and we just use example purposes, then I could go directly talk to Vonmarie, because you probably don't even know what the hell is going on. So then I was like, all right, Vonmarie, why is this an asset and this is a liability? So now you could concentrate more on growing your business so you could pay our fees and moving forward in life. So, think beyond it. Just don't see, it's the worst to just see a tax accountant and a bookkeeper as someone that files returns for you and do so. They could save you so much money. They could make you so much money, but you got to think beyond that. I just want a refund. I just want to file this tax return. Because if you could think beyond that, man, you'd be surprised like what next level you could bring your own business. All right, guys. So with that said, had to drop the mic. Stay tuned. We're gonna do episode number 3. We don't know what it is going yet, but we know it's gonna be off the hook. All right, guys. Peace.